propulsion system for VSTOL, vertical and short takeoff.
Okay, this is PS30, Politics and Strategy. Is everyone in the right place? Okay. Does everyone have a seat? There's like 180 students in this class, and there's like 182 seats in this room. So literally, it will be almost always full if everyone shows up. So there's some seats up here. There's one or two. Okay. All right, everybody's in the right place. My name is Michael Che. That's me. I'm Korean, so that's my name in Korean. This is my office, 3276 Punch, it's just over there, third floor. And let's see, my email, that's me. So just reach me in email. I have a telephone, but don't call me. Just don't call me. So just email me. I'm very good with email, and I will respond like within a few hours. Okay, so just feel free to email me anytime. It's fine, no problem. Okay. All right, so these are our 4 TAs. James Choi, George Durpanopoulos, Arseny Samsonov, and Tamara Solberger. Let's give them all a big round of applause. We'll meet them next week. We're not having TA sessions this week. Okay, so we'll have lecture today, and then we'll be over, and then we'll meet again on Tuesday. And then on Thursday and Friday next week, you'll meet your TAs for Thursday. Okay? So yeah, today's just an introduction. The first homework set will be given out a week from today. Okay? So there's not too much right at the beginning. Okay? All right, so thank you very much. You can hang on if you want to. Anyway, so your TAs. Which TA has assigned to which section we haven't quite figured out yet, but it'll all be on the website, so you'll have to know who your TA is. And then the contact information for your TAs, the email addresses, and their office hours will all be on there too. Okay, any questions about that? Okay. So let's talk about the, thank you so much. Okay, this is the, let's talk about the administrative stuff in the class. This is the website, so I really won't print anything out for ecological purposes, but also everything's online anyway. So everything which is handed out will be on the website, everything. Okay? And so this is the website now, you can go to it. This class is about the core concepts of game theory and how they can help in understanding political and social phenomena. Game theory uses simple mathematical models to describe social situations and make predictions. This course emphasizes model building skills as well as problem solving. The course is based on lectures and handouts, and there's no textbook. No textbook. Okay? Yay. It's a scam. So no textbook. However, if you want books and you want to refer to something, let me know because I can give you some stuff. Okay? So some people really like that, and I'm totally okay with that. And if you find a textbook you like, feel free to use it because all the material here is very standard. Like what I teach you is the same everyone else does. So it's not like some special thing we're doing. Okay? So if you find some website or some YouTube video or something which explains it you think in a good way, go for it. Okay, it's totally okay. So it shouldn't be all the same. Okay? All right. So in terms of what we're doing in the class, we're dealing with game theory, which is a mathematical way of thinking about social issues and social phenomena. In terms of actual substantive stuff, can you see this in the back? Is it okay? Okay, all right. Some of the questions which we'll substantively ask are things like, what does rationality mean? Why does government exist? Why is it difficult to overthrow a regime even if it is widely hated, etc., etc. So these are things which game theory can really get us a grasp on, and I think it's sometimes very useful. So the nice thing about game theory is that it's kind of a way of thinking about lots of different phenomena. And so by the end of the class, you'll hopefully have this perspective of a way of thinking about lots of different things. Okay? I like it a lot. Okay. We also have the timetable for the class. So week 0 and week 1 we'll talk about what a game is, players, strategies, and payoffs, etc. That'll be the material for homework 1. Okay. Week 1 and 2 will be on the strategies, national grids, etc. So the first 5 weeks are kind of more theoretical, kind of more model building, and the second half of the class after the midterm will be more applied topics like elections, voting, social change, these kinds of things. So that's kind of how the class works. This class is actually taught by 2 other people in a department. It's taught every single quarter. And if you don't like this one, you can try the next one. So it's kind of again all the same. Depends on what you want to do. But this is what I do in this class. Okay. There's my email. Oh, this is all stuff which is on the website. So do you want to go through it? Okay, let me talk about it. Any questions about the real basic issues of the class, what it's about? Okay. All right. Grading. Okay, so everyone has questions about grading. So this is the way grading works in the class. Right in front of it's based on 4 things. Homework is 20%, midterms 20%, participation sections 10%, and the finals 15%. So notice the finals are worth a lot. The midterm isn't worth very much. Homework is worth a lot. Okay? So just let you know. Okay, so let's do them item by item. Homework assignments are graded either 0, which means you didn't do it, 1, which means you did, and 0.5. 0.5 means you did it, but you did it in a really kind of cursory way. So almost everyone should get a 1. Okay, so you just do it, just try to do your best on it. We're not going to grade it based on details like, oh, you got this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. So we won't grade you real super fine detail. We just say, you did a fine job, we'll give you a 1. If you look like something which is just like on a napkin, like half a sheet of paper, that's 0.5. You didn't have your hand, it's 0. Okay? So just try to do it. Okay? The homeworks are not about grading in a real precise way. So just try to do it. It's about learning. Okay? Homeworks are about learning. Okay? They're not graded in terms of right or wrong answers or in a detailed fashion, but you're also expected to recognize your own errors. So sometimes your case will say, hey, take a look at this. You don't seem to be quite getting it. We'll give you the answers to the homeworks too, so you can see whether you got it right or not. Yeah, so we'll hand out the answers in the class or the website. Oh, late homeworks are not accepted for any reason. The reason is because each team has to deal with like 60 homeworks, like 2 to 40. It's really hard to kind of keep track of everything, so just get it in on time. Again, don't stress out about is this little part right, just get it in on time. Please get it on time, otherwise it becomes just religious for that day. So we don't accept late homeworks. Okay? If there's some things like you're out of town or something, you can take a picture of it and email it in or something. Just work it out with your TA, okay? But please just get it on time, okay? All right. Cool. The main point of homework is to learn something while doing them and not get too worked up about how they affect your grade. Okay, so don't get homework is not about grades. Okay. However, if you do get a 0.5, it might mean that either you didn't really try too hard on it, or there's something you really do not understand. You're really not getting something. If you get a 0.5 and you tried hard, you should just say, oh, something's going on here. Let me talk to my TA about it. Okay? All right. Also, in previous experience, not turning homework is the best predictor of failure. By failure, I mean getting an F. Okay, so I'll show you the grading distribution in previous classes. And if you look at the people get D's and F's, usually it's because they just didn't do the homeworks. Okay, so if you're doing all the homeworks, then you're well on your way to passing a class. So to me, that's not a bad deal. Just do the homework. It's not that big a deal. Okay? All right. Midterm and final. Okay, the midterm will take place during class on Thursday, November 3rd. The final will take place on Tuesday, December 6th, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. These are on the website. Questions on both exams will be similar in format to homework questions in terms of difficulty. Some will be easier, some will be somewhat more difficult. So by far the most common complaint about this class when I teach it is that the midterms and finals are really hard. Okay? By far, like if you go to Bruin Walk and say, hey, Professor Michael Shedd, what's up with it? And they say, this exam's really hard. There's a reason for that though, okay? The reason is I want to get a large range in exams. In other words, I want the difference between an A and B and a C to be as large as possible because I don't want that to turn on like a mistake. You see what I'm saying? So for me, like we'll typically grade the midterm on a scale of 48 points. There'll be 4 questions, each one is worth 12 points. So you might be able to get an A by getting 40 out of 48 or even like 36 out of 48. See what I'm saying? And you might be able to pass it by getting 15 out of 48. Okay? So it's going to be graded in a tough way, but at the same time it's all on the kind of a curve. Does that make sense? Okay, so don't stress out. If you, for example, if you take an exam or a final and say, I think I only got 2/3 of it right, don't think that you'll get a D. You might get a B plus or something. Okay? So there'll be parts of the exams which are super hard. Because the reason I do that is because I want to kind of find those people who really, really know what they're doing. So I want to reward, expertise in some sense. I want to be able to locate that. So some parts will be hard, some parts will be okay, some parts will be pretty simple. Okay? I just want to get a large numerical range. Does that make sense? Okay, so don't stress out about that too much. Okay? It does take a while getting used to it. I just want there to be as much range as possible. I don't want things to turn on small details. Okay, anyway. The best way to study for the exams is to thoroughly understand the homework. So if you come to me and say, hey, I don't know what's going on, should I study for the midterm? What do I do? I have no idea what's going on. First thing I'll ask you is say, can you do the homeworks? And you say, yeah, I think I can do them. And I'll say, then you're in pretty good shape. And then I'll say, have you looked at some of the old midterms? Can you do some of those? So, in other words, don't worry too much about whether you know it, but rather whether you can do it. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you're not sure, just try doing the homeworks and see if you can do it. If you don't understand the homeworks at all, then we should start from there. Okay, but it's really more about doing and less about knowing. Make sense? Okay. I'll show you this. Past midterms and finals are available at the handout archive section of the website, so I'll go over that. So there's literally like 14 years of midterms and finals when I taught this class. I've taught this class in UCLA since 2002. And there's tons and tons and tons of material that answers the whole thing. So there's lots and lots of material. Okay? So best way to study is just practice. Let's see, the finals comprehensive. Okay. Oh, no makeup exams are given for any reason. Okay, so the reason for that is because it's graded in a curve. If I can't give you the exam that everyone else takes, I have to give you a different exam. There's no way to know whether it's the same difficulty, so I just don't give makeup exams at all. Okay, I've never given a makeup exam in the entire time here at UCLA, and it's just because it's really hard to do it in a fair way with everyone else. So if you do happen to miss the final, what I would suggest is you can either take the exam, take the course with me again the next year, because it's going to be the same. You don't have to show up for the classes again, just take the final or something. You can take it with somebody else. Taught every quarter of every year, it's not all the time. Okay? But we don't do makeup exams at all. Last year I had somebody show up in the final late, like an hour and a half late, and I can't make an exception. I can't say, oh, you can stay an hour and a half later, because then anything like that places me in a position where I have to make judgment calls, and I'd rather not do that. And then I have to think, oh, if that person showed up 10 minutes late, should they go to the last day longer, blah, 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 blah. So really the best way to be fair is to try to treat everyone the same way as much as possible. Okay, so I really try to commit to that. Okay, so if you show up to the final 2 hours late, I'm not going to hang out for 2 hours. After the final's done, it's done. It's like the SAT, it's just what it is. There are all things happen in life. For example, if there's like, once I taught a class in Chicago and there was like a snowstorm with a final, a lot of people didn't show up. Of course, things can happen like that. So there's a limit to how strict you can be, but at least I'm going to try to treat everyone as fairly as possible, treat everyone the same. Okay, if there's any issue like that, like something which is like something going on in your life, which makes it difficult for you to handle that kind of thing, and let me know, and we'll try to deal with it soon. Okay. Participation, so, okay, this is what we're talking about. Okay, so homework is 20%, midterm 20%, finals 50%, talked about that. Well, participation in section is 10%, so that depends on your TA. So when you meet your TA for the first time, they'll explain to you how they're going to do the grading section. Okay? Sometimes it's based on attendance or participation. It's basically just up to them. Just up to them. Okay. Questions about grading. So if you get your midterm back and say, hey, this looks really unfair, I think it's something a mistake, that's fine. We all make mistakes. So how do we deal with it? Well, for the homework, it's because it's graded in a very 0, 0, 1, 5, 1 way. There shouldn't be really a lot of issues. So we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about homework grades. However, if you think your midterm or final has been graded wrongly, then of course you have the right to talk about it. So the way that works is there's going to be 8 questions in the final example, but each TA is responsible for 2 questions. So that TA grades those 2 questions for the entire class. Okay, so everyone's exam is graded in the same way. Okay, so it's not like your exam is graded by your own TA. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's again fairness, try to be treated in the same way. So if you have a question about the way, like say problem number 3 was graded, ask me, then I'll say, oh, this TA graded that question, so just go talk to them, and I'll try to explain to you why they graded the grades. Okay? I'll try to be as open as possible. Again, everything they make mistakes, but we'll try to be clear. Okay. Yeah, if a student has a question concerning the grading of a particular question, you should talk to the TA who graded that question. That person's a final word, and if you still don't feel like you've been treated fairly, you can come talk to them too. Okay. So, again, what we do in terms of gradings, we take all those things. We take the homework, midterm, section, final. I put it in a big spreadsheet, and I just compute this number. Okay. And then I just have this list of numbers, and I'll show you an example. Then I just make this huge, huge curve, which is at the end of the course, each student's score is computed, and we do it by rank. So we just give A+ to the top 10%. Okay, so if you're the top 10%, which will be like, in this class, 24 people, you'll get an A+. Okay, does that make sense? So you might get an actual score of like 85, okay, or something. But if no one else gets an 85, you're the best in class, you get an A+. Does that make sense? The next 10% get an A. And sometimes they even give it more. So I usually give at least 1/3 to 30%, 35% A's. The next group is like B's. Does that make sense? So usually the median is around the B+. Okay. And then usually the lowest 30% is like some sort of form of C. Okay. And then I actually do exercise some discussion down here. Sometimes if somebody seems to really work hard and they just didn't run exams, I'll totally want to give them a C- as opposed to a D, that kind of thing. Okay? Does that make sense? I'll give you an example. Okay, so. All right, so like I said before, exams in this class are designed to be fairly difficult. So for example, when I taught this in 2004, students received a grade of B, the final grade of the class, had midterm scores ranging from 25 to 45 out of 48. So somebody got a 25 out of 48 in the midterm and got a B. Okay, makes sense? Students who received the grade of A in 2004 had midterm scores ranging from 35 to 48 out of 48, and final scores going from 79 to 96 out of an possible 96. So somebody got an A, even though they got 79 out of 96 on the final. Does that make sense? Okay, so in other words, if you feel like, oh, I only got 80% of that exam right, don't stress out, you may be the best person in the class. Okay, because there's going to be a lot of not a lot, but some hard parts. Does that make sense? Okay, so don't worry about it too much. If you look at the old midterms and finals, you can get a feel. Typically, there'll be one question, there'll be some easy part, a little harder part, and hard, and some part which is, like there will be parts of the exam which I expect maybe 5% of the class to get correct. Just because I want to find out who those 5% are. Does that make sense? Okay. There's also a little parable of life I will say here, which is that if you're obsessed between the difference between 85 and 95%, like in life, you're not in a hard enough situation. It's like, am I getting 95% of those McDonald's fries cooked quickly or 85%? No. It's more important to like, am I curing cancer 20% or 0%? You see what I'm saying? Yes? Actually, the most important things in life are getting from 0% to 30%, not getting from 85 to 95. Seriously. Yeah. If you're the best in what you do, you're having to deal with situations where you fail all the time. Okay, and getting to that first 30% is so important. That's the most important. Okay, anyway. Oh, in the past, people have often felt rushed when they did the midterms because we only have 75 minutes. So I'd like to have the midterm be like the final, like 2 hours or 3 hours. But we only have one class period. I could maybe do it over 2 class periods. Let me know if you feel how you feel about that. But it can be rushed. So some people, the midterm tends to be kind of anxiety-inducing because it's early in the quarter, people are still not used to it, it's also very short. So I'm not sure again how to do it. I can make the exam shorter, but then if you make a shorter exam, it becomes much more random. So any one section can mess up the grade. So I still have to think about how to do this. But anyway, the midterm can be kind of stressful. It's short, it sort of rewards time, pressure, being able to do things quickly more. Well, at least the midterms only worth 20%. The finals worth a lot more. Typically, people have plenty of time for the final. The final's 3 hours, so usually there's no problem. Okay. So again, sometimes I think about doing the midterm over 2 class periods, but we'll think about that. Any questions? Grading? Okay. Well, let me do this since we're. Oh, this is the grade distribution from last year. Is it coming up? Okay. So this is how I grade. So this is a person. This is their homework. This is spatial grade. This is their homeworks. Okay. This is what they got in their midterm. This is out of possible 48. This is their final out of a possible 96. Okay. And this is just that. First, that 0.5 plus this plus 0.2 this. It's that little thing which you calculated, right? And then I rank according to this. Okay. So this person did great. This person did fantastic. Okay. But you can see, like, a ton of people. So how many people are in this class? Total, there were 174 people in this class. Okay, so this person got an A+, they got a 45 out of 48 on the midterm and an 80 out of 96 on the final. They got an A+. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Okay, they did all their homework. Yeah?
What percentage of the class got less than a B?
I think about a third. It's usually between a third, 35%. Yeah, let's see. I can actually tell you right now. We can look at this. Okay, this is the A range. Okay, so now look. This person got a 78 out of 96 on the final, 41.5 out of 48 on the midterm. They did all their homeworks. They got an A. Okay. Okay, this person got an A minus, 36 out of 48 in the midterm, 76 out of 96 on the final. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So don't stress out too much about it. But you see the reason why I do it, right? I want to distinguish between A minus and A plus, and that allows me that gives me that range. You see what I'm saying? Okay, all right. Now we're at the B's. So so this is now how many people did I give A's to? I gave 62 out of 174 people some kind of A. Okay, so I think that's pretty reasonable. Yeah? I think it's more than a third. Okay, B pluses, B's. See, so now you'll notice another thing is, it's not that hard to get all the homeworks in, and most people just do them. But if you do get forget to do a homework, it does affect your grade. It's like these. So this could have been the difference between an A and an A plus if that person is simply putting the homework. Okay. Let's see, 174 people. So the median person is like 87th. Is that right? Okay, yeah. Here I give the median person a B. Okay, people did well. Let's see. How about the B minus versus C plus range? Okay, this person got the B minus. They got 32 out of 48 in the midterm, 49 out of 96 in the final. Okay, and they got a B minus. Okay, because it's a hard final. Does that make sense? I think that's good because if it's a long final, there are many ways to get points in some sense. Yeah? Okay, so now we're in the C plus range. Notice the main correlate for getting a lower grade is just not doing the homeworks. Okay. Now I gave a lot of C minuses this time. Oh, this last year I didn't give any Fs. Okay, so notice, look at so in this range, you can get out of this range just by doing the homeworks. It's pretty simple. Okay, that's what I meant by not doing homework is the highest correlate of failure. It's just to avoid being in this range, just do the homeworks. That's all you really need to do. Okay, so just get it in. No big deal. This person, if this person had gotten didn't do the homeworks, I probably would have given this person. This person got 8.5 out of 48 on the midterm, 17.5 out of 96 on the final. Okay? But that person did some of the homework, so I let them pass. Okay, I give them a D minus. I was okay with that. You see? Okay? All right, I'll let them pass. They, you know, they did demonstrate some knowledge. Oh, this is interesting. This person, like, for example, 21 out of 48 out of, on the midterm, 39.5 out of 96 on the final. So this person clearly knew something. It wasn't like they studied like 2 hours before the exam, right? They demonstrated real knowledge. However, they didn't do a lot of the homeworks. And if they had done it, they probably would have gotten a B. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? This is not this is similar to the B minus person I talked about a second ago, right? You right? Okay, so when I see people like that, I think, geez, you just don't put the homework. So anyway, okay. Any questions about grading? Okay.
162 did all the homework and got a C minus.
Yeah, do you think that's unfair? No? Well, let's see how to okay. let's give person 162 a call. How does he feel about that class? Yeah. They got 13 out of that's hurt them, right? 13 out of 48 okay. 38.5 out of 96 in the final. And C minus, that's actually I feel okay. Yeah. I mean, I think if you're this person, I think you definitely learned something. Yeah. Sure. And you know, I think I mean, I'll be happy. You know, if I got a C minus in a hard class, I'd be happy about it. You know, no one wants to get a C minus, no one wants to get an F or something, but you know, we're here to learn. We're not. This is in the end not about grades, but it's about learning something, making the next step to your future. So it's really just about learning something. I got C minuses in college. I'm still here. If you're doing something hard, you'll get a C minus every day. Do something difficult. Go for the C minus. No, I'm serious. Okay. This is another story like this. So it's like anything serious in life. If you're doing it 95% of the time, like say you're learning how to ski or snowboard or something like that, you're out on the green slopes, you're not falling 95% of the time. Okay, so then you do the blue slopes, you may be falling 80% of the time, but you're getting better, so then you fall 95%. No, you don't fall, you almost never fall, right? So then you get better and better, you go to the black diamond slopes, you get better and better, you still fall all the time. You do it for a few years, then you don't fall. Okay, then the number of people who are like you gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? See what I'm saying? Say that you become the best person, like you might become the very best person at skiing or snowboarding, whatever the heck you're doing. How often are you going to be falling? You're going to be falling all the time, okay? If you're the best, that's just what happens. You see what I'm saying? That's just part of the deal. You're doing things no one else has done before, so of course no one's going to be good at it, including you. You see what I'm saying? Okay. All right, I can tell stories like that all day. All right. Collaboration. Okay, collaboration policy. It is permitted to collaborate on homework, so it's totally okay to learn in groups and work in groups, that's fantastic. But each student should write up their own homework assignment. So you should like do a group one Xerox and then everyone put the name or something. You should write out your own. Okay? The whole point of homework is to learn, okay? So it's not about grades or something, just learn, just do it. Okay? Sometimes I might ask you to find an interesting case study. In that case, you should do it yourself. Doing homework is the best way to learn the material. So engaging with it at a superficial level defeats the purpose. So it's literally like going to the weight room and doing repetitions. It's totally like that. It's not about like how am I going to do this in the best possible way. It's just doing it, just literally just trying to do it. And you can like in the weight room, I can try to do 50 pounds and I can't do it. Still, it's worth trying to do. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about when you do? Not that I know much about this. So like. They'll say, try to do repetitions so that you fail within 20 reps. You know what I'm talking about, right? Find the weight such that you will fail within 20 repetitions. You know what I'm talking about? Yes.
It's supposed to be 12. It's supposed to be more than 12. It's not 20, it's 12.
Okay, 12. Okay, so that's different for different people. So like, for you it might be 80, for mine it might be like 15 or something. I don't know. But you find the point at which you will fail at. Okay. So if you're not doing the repetitions, it obviously just doesn't work. You're not getting anything out of it. You can watch somebody else. You can video somebody else doing it and say, hey, this isn't working. It's only useful to you if you do it. That's just a pretty good sort of basic simple thing. Okay. All right. Academic dishonesty. Okay. Let me talk about this. So academic dishonesty includes cheating on exams, plagiarism, improper citations, lying to the instructor, impersonating other people, helping another person cheat, improperly altering the course website, apparently changing the learning environment to the disadvantage of the students, and numerous other things. Guess why all those things are up there? Because they happen. So what constitutes academic dishonesty is determined by me. If you have any questions about whether a certain action might be understood as academic dishonesty, just ask me. Like if this, we don't write papers in this class, but if you have classes where you do involve papers, you're not sure whether this is plagiarism or dishonesty, so just ask somebody. That's for it is assumed that a paper written for this class has not or is not being used for any other class, but that's not relevant. If the instructor feels that a student has committed or has been involved in academic dishonesty according to UCA policy, the matter is referred to the Dean of Students Office, which has the power to suspend and expel students. In the past, the instructor has brought 4 academic dishonesty cases to the Dean of Students Office, and the Dean of Students Office has exercised the power in each case. So the strongest penalties you could be actually restricted from the entire UC system. That has happened to people I know in the past. Okay, so if there's an issue of academic dishonesty, let me know. I will just like be clear. I really don't like it. I'm going to try hard to stop it. I will totally work against you. If there's an issue of academic dishonesty, I will totally try to get you kicked out of UCLA. I will really do that, and I have done it in the past. And I really don't like it, and I just think this is something we actually have to stop. Okay, so please just don't take that road. You know, and also, if you're going down that road, just go rob a bank or something. Don't follow the rest of us. Okay, just go straight to where the money is. Don't. Okay, so anyway, please don't do that. It's a bane of my existence. But I will totally try to prosecute it. Okay, and I have done in the past. Okay. Asking questions in email. Okay, so this is a large class, and you might think, oh, do I really want to ask a question and waste everyone's time? But usually, if you have a question, it's because I haven't explained something, and other people have the same question too. So it's the exact opposite of waste of time. It's actually saving time. So if there's something I forgot to say, and you're just not sure what's going on, just go ahead and ask it, and you can even blurt it out or raise your hand, and I'll recognize you. Okay, so you might feel like, oh, am I wasting everyone's time? You know, maybe someone else is wasting up time. If that happens, I will stop it. So don't worry about it. In other words, I'll try to keep things going. So don't worry about it. Just please ask questions. So don't feel shy about that. Just ask it. It makes the class much more interesting. Okay, so please ask questions anytime. Okay, just raise your questions. Some questions people want to email me about, and if you find you email me something about if you're in the second and third paragraph, usually those questions are really hard to answer by email. It's much faster to do it by face-to-face. So, we're all like cyber connected, but the face-to-face communication, we tend to underestimate that, and sometimes it's so much faster and better. So I would totally encourage that. I'm here like 15 minutes before the class starts, plugging in all my stuff. You can ask me that. You can ask me after class. I have office hours. I think my office hours, I'll put it online. It's going to be 1 to 2 on Tuesday and Thursdays. If you can't make that, you can email me and set me another appointment. You can make an appointment with your TAs. So again, take advantage of that face-to-face contact, and it's no problem to make that happen. Just email me. Okay. Again, before or after class, you can come to office hours or make an appointment. Anything involving some complication, just ask in person. It's better. If you email, try to make sure your real name is in the front line, and just don't write a long random email. Okay, it's probably better just to ask in person. Oh, during class, please do not do anything with your computer other than taking class notes. Please don't use your cell phone, talk or texting during class. Please turn off your cell phone and put it in silent mode during class. If you must receive a call during class time, just leave class. It's no big deal. To be honest, I don't really care that much about this. However, the reason I put this into the class is the following. Once I was in the grocery store and someone said, hey, I took your class 5 years ago at UCLA. It was great. And blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, that's great, thanks. And she said, I really like your class. However, there was someone who sat in front of me who had a dog. And I'm allergic to dogs, so I just never got used to the dog. And I said, wow, I don't remember the dog. Okay? And so that person who brought in the dog probably thought everyone loves dogs, but not everyone loves dogs, or et cetera, et cetera. So in other words, maybe you're texting away, and it doesn't bother me that much, because I'm up here, I don't even see you, but it might bother the people around you, okay? So it's not really about me and you, it's really just about you and your classmates. Okay, so I would simply say, take an hour and 50 minutes out of your life and just don't text for an hour and 50 minutes, or check Facebook or whatever. Okay? It's not that big a deal, it's not really big a deal, okay? And it's really more about the total learning environment. Okay? And the other thing that's true about the dog is that if there's some issue like that which you kind of is bugging you, like simply like if the room is too cold, too hot, you can't see, anything like that, just basic stuff like that, let me know about it. So for example, I couldn't do anything about the dog because I didn't know about it. I literally didn't see there's a whole dog in the class. Okay, so if I don't know about it, I can't do anything about it. So let me know about it, okay? Once I had a TA, when I taught this class in 2002, I had a TA who had epileptic seizures during his sections, and it happened twice, and the students were really good, they called it ambulance and all that, which was great. But they didn't really get the best educational experience because they had 2 sections which were interrupted, okay? So we gave them extra sections, but I didn't know about it until week 10, okay? So if there's something like that, which happens, like you just can't get to a classroom, or there's some issue that you can't get to the website, or anything like that, you just let me know about it, because if I don't know about it, I can't fix it, okay? Is that clear? Okay. So again, if there's something about the classroom experience which is disrupting the learning environment, please let me know as soon as possible. We are all responsible for maintaining the best learning environment possible. Okay. Oh. Well, this was something I did new for this year. Okay, so I always say that everyone learns in a different way. The material here, what we've done, is not supernatural in the sense that it wasn't something that people did like 1,000 years ago. Something just invented in the last 50 years. And so I wrote a book saying that Gene Austin, like for example, talked about this in literature, strategic thinking. But in terms of the mathematical aspect of it, it's really since 1950. So it isn't supernatural, but again, once you get used to it, it's really great. But everyone kind of has a different way of dealing with it. So some people really like it in the beginning, and then they don't like it so much. Some people really have a hard time, but then they get used to it and they love it. Okay, so some people love it, they say, and some people don't like it, and they still don't like it. So it's up to you. Okay, so it's just about like what works for you. So again, you can take this course with somebody else, maybe you like that person better. You can learn from the other people, whatever. It doesn't bother me at all. Everyone has different approaches to learning, so find something that works for you. Ask for help. Okay, so like if I show you the people in the grade distribution, like in the C- D+ range, none of those people I don't know who they are. Okay? I never literally don't know who they are. I've never seen their face, blah 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 blah. So if you're in a situation where gee, I might be in the C- D+ range, I want to get out of that range. See somebody, talk to somebody, say, hey, I don't understand anything. Can you help me? Okay, so it's important to get help. Okay? You can ask me. You can ask TAs. You can Google whatever. If you don't understand conflict, all the material here is very standard. Whatever you want, whatever works for you is great. Working with groups can be very helpful. Again, I recommend training rather than studying. Don't read a lot. Don't try to find the perfect way something's expressed. Try to do work on the problems themselves. Again, it's like, how do I best run the 12? I guess I can run kind of a 10-minute mile. If I want to get to the 9-minute mark, am I going to read about it? Well, maybe if I can get it something. But actually, the best way to do it is just to try to do it. Okay, seriously, it's a little like that. It's really more about training, like literally doing repetitions. Okay, seriously. So the best way to prepare a final is just to do lots of finals. If you feel completely lost, go back to the concepts you know. So if you feel like I don't know about what's going on, just don't wallow in your confusion. Just try to bring it back to something. And above all, if you need help, try to get it sooner than later. Okay? Around week 4, week 5, you have tons and tons of people coming in. So it's better to just handle it right away. Just like if you have a cut on your arm, put peroxide and put a bandage on it right away. Don't let it wait for 2 weeks until it gets all blue and stuff like that. Just deal with it. Okay? I know that you have a lot of things going on in your life, but the earlier the better, and that way there's less panic for everybody. Okay. If you're in need of help for medical or mental health reasons or other social issues, and once I had a student who had a big problem with his roommate was like giving him death threats and that kind of thing. Okay, so we dealt with the problem. Okay, his roommate had to move to his house. Okay? So things like that, mental health issues, there's almost 200 people in this room, all sorts of crazy stuff happens to us. Okay, if something like that's going on and you need help, ask for it. Please ask for it. Just don't sort of sit in silence and think it's just my problem. Okay? There's a lot of transitional issues going on in this time of life. All these things are going on. Ask for help. There's tons and tons of people whose job it is to help you. Maybe 100 people on campus who help you with medical stuff, mental stuff, whatever. So if you need help, ask me, ask your TAs, and we can get you set up. Okay? So just don't hesitate. Just don't suffer in silence. Any questions about that? Well, by far, how many people was it their first time here at UCLA? Raise your hand. By far the most, welcome to UCLA. By far the biggest traditional thing people have to coming here is the quarter system. Okay, I'll just let you know that. And you know what I'm talking about, people who've been here, yes? So if you're in high school, you use the semester system, or if you've been to other colleges, your semester system, the courses are much, much faster. It's only 10 weeks, not 14 weeks. So things really move. So it's easy to kind of get overwhelmed, especially the 4th or 5th week. Okay? So just letting you know that that's kind of an issue. Okay. All right. Anything else? Oh, media clips. So, okay, sometimes in the homework I'll ask you to look at like videos or newspaper articles. They're all in here. Okay. Oh, this is fun. I still do this. Sometimes people will ask me questions, and we used to videotape the office hours. So this is on YouTube, so you can actually see how some people did in the past. This is pretty fun. Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll do this some more. We kind of got out of the habit, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, what else? Course calendar. Let's see, can it be bigger? Today's the first day of class. Homework 1 is given a week from today. And then you can see the schedule. It'll be due in a week, and homework 2 is given, etc., etc. Homework 5 will be homework 5 is given before the midterm, but it's not handed in. It's just a review. The midterm is November 3rd. Okay. Then we have homework 6. Oh, we have a Veterans Day holiday here, so there might be there won't be sections on 5. Then this is Thanksgiving, so we have a little shorter week here for homework 7. Homework 7 is not so long. Homework 8 is the last homework, which is so graded. Then homework 9 is given as a review, and then it's the last day of class here. And then the exam, I think, is Tuesday. Fine. Okay, any questions?
The answers?
Huh?
The answers for homework 9 are given on the last
Yes,
day.
yes. All the answers for homework are all good.
The homework, do we turn that in and give it in lecture or discussion?
Typically a lecture.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll have little boxes, and we send the box stuff that we need to put in the box.
So we will need to probably print out our homework?
Huh?
We'll probably need to print out our homework?
Yeah, ideally, yeah. If you want to do it electronically, you just talk to your TA.
Okay.
Yeah. You can probably email it too. Yeah. Okay. Any questions about the calendar? Again, usually the crunch is kind of the hardest time is around December, Thanksgiving to December. It's kind of people start rushing. So if you need to ask a question, please do it earlier, okay, as early as possible. Let's see. Oh, this is a handout archive. This is kind of fun. So this is all the different. You can see there's like many past finals and midterms. So for example, this is the fall final and fall answers. Let me just click on one. You can see what it is. Okay, so. Oh, I'm also trying this year an experiment with screencasting. So I'm screencasting, I'm recording everything on the screen right now. And so I'll try to release that quick time. Okay. Oh, this is you guys. Oh, I'm also experimenting a little bit. Good. Attendance is not required, however, I do want to know credit this year. So this is, I just have a little piece of paper. So if you just write down your name, find out your rights. That's like a little white space. Just write down your name. All right, so this is the final, okay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think, let's see, we should be able to find the answers too. Yeah, so you can see it's all up there, okay? So you can do the final, give yourself 3 hours, and just see. You can literally do like 10 old finals, okay, lots and lots and lots. Okay, so there's plenty of problems, and they're all answered, and you can challenge yourself. It's a good way to prepare. Okay. Oh, this is our, like, sometimes people ask for like a little handout. This is the basic part of the class. It's like the textbook. It's only like 7 pages long, okay? So the key ideas of this class are actually, they're relatively few. The main thing is just knowing how to apply them. Yeah?
Has there been much like update in the course material since 2002, or all of those exams?
It's all exactly the same. Okay? I've been teaching this class a lot. And although I will say that if you look at the old exams, they get harder over time. And the reason for that is because people are smarter over time. Seriously. I think people are actually getting better. Either we teach them better, Or people are smarter, but I think, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm teaching that, but yeah, the materials is exactly the same, instead, yeah.
Will we perceive that increase in difficulty from the 2015 to our year?
We'll find out. No, I mean, I don't know. Again, you can judge yourself, yeah. It's graded in a curve each year, yeah. So if I give you, like, so the other reason I grade in a curve is because I don't know how hard a given midterm is, right? I'll give a midterm, and it turns out if it's a lot harder than I thought it was, I'm not going to penalize people by not giving everyone an A, not giving A's anyway. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to give A's to 30% of the people at the end of the class. You know what I'm saying? So. Okay. All right. Any other questions about the way the course works? Yeah.
I was going to the site and I wasn't able to actually see what you were showing me.
Really?
Yeah, some of them
Some
are just locked. Like,
Seriously?
you
Okay,
can
I'll
see
go.
them 'cause you're logged in as
As-
admin.
Oh, but you can't see them.
Some of them.
Some
Some
of
of the
them.
links work, some
In
don't.
theory, things are
Okay. So which ones do I not see?
The handout and the game 3 basics.
Okay, all right, I'll fix it. Yeah. I'll go there. Any other questions? Yeah. No, there are no discussion sections this week. Next week's when we start. Any other questions? Yeah.
Are only tests the midterm and final? We don't have quizzes.
No, that's the only. That's it. Yeah. We could do that if you want to. I mean, we could. That's seriously. Right? Another class, yeah.
Will we know our rank throughout the quarter?
I will only do it at the end, but I will give you the midterm distribution. So once we did the midterm, we'll see. You can see how you did relative to everyone else, and also you'll also see your homework grades entered, so you can see whether to make sure that they're all entered. Okay.
Are all the questions answered in symbols, or what we've seen up there, the symbolic, the problem solving, is that the entirety of the class, there's no short answers, or
There's no multiple choice, anything like that. It's all long answers. Yeah, by hand. Yeah.
it's all long answers, so they're short answers?
Well, you can
What I
see-
was seeing was symbols, what I was.
Yeah, that's a, yeah. You can go back and look. It's all like that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. There was a question back here? Any questions? Are you okay? Any more questions of the class? All works? Okay, any questions about the people are sitting, there's this whole sitting on the floor thing. We'll try to find a better room, but there are some seats up here if you want to. This is going to be a little tight. There's also some seat back there, right there, isn't there, next to you? Yeah, there's some seats over here. Okay, all right. Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
So are we assigned homework in class, or should we just keep checking?
Oh, it'll be on the website. It'll be assigned in class on Thursday, yeah.
Okay, so then the homework is assigned next Thursday. Will be due the Thursday after.
Right. It'll be assigned a week from today, and it'll be due a week after that. Yeah. Yeah.
This is kind of unrelated, but is Nash equal in real, like James Nash, the Prince grad?
John Nash, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, yeah. He's played by Russell Crowe in the famous movie.
We watched that in the site last year.
Yeah, yeah. He's a very important figure in game theory. Yeah, probably the most important one. So we'll talk about Nash equilibrium. That's yeah, exactly. Yeah. Any question? Other questions? Okay. All right. Okay. John Nash died in a car accident. Not wearing a seatbelt in a taxi. So every time since I go into a taxi, I put my seatbelt on because I don't want to be like the next game theorist who died in a taxi. Okay. All right. So let's start doing the material in the class. Any other questions about the way the class works? Okay. Oh, another thing about the class is I'll always start on time and end on time. There'll be strict time discipline, so I'll never go over. Okay, ever. But at the same time, I'll always start right at 11. Is that fair? Okay. I know you have things to go to after. Yeah.
Do you post our presentations on CCLU?
Yeah. So every week I'll update the slides on the website, so you'll see. Okay, sure. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so I want to show you this little clip. It's a montage of lots of little clips. Now they're kind of old, but they're still good. So what I want you to think about is there's several clips. What's in common among all of them? Okay, that's what you. What? So that's the title. What's in common?
The older I tried this and I tried that and the elder didn't work, whatever, or it did work, whatever. But at least when I get to a certain age, I say, well, I'm not going to regret anything in my life. I lived my life to the fullest, which I think I am doing.
The model to turn, roll, pitch, and vary in height. This freedom of movement allows models to be tested in realistic circumstances. Propulsion systems for VSTOL, or vertical and short takeoff and landing aircraft, present
So I'm the same candidate in the country. He's interested in, you see, the decision is his to make. It's been his to make all along as to whether there's the use of the military. He got to decide whether he's going to disarm, and he didn't. He can decide whether he wants to leave the country. These are his decisions to make. And thus far he has made bad decisions.
Bush doesn't seem to care what the world says. He doesn't seem to care what kind of position he's putting Americans in. He doesn't seem to care what position he's putting Tony Blair in, or Tony Blair doesn't put himself in that position, which I'm surprised at. But I would say this. If he goes ahead with this war, if he's making a big mistake in a lot of ways, and if he thinks that he's not going to feel some of that mistake, because obviously he doesn't care about the other mistakes, such as destabilizing the Middle East, tanking our economy, but I think he's going to feel that mistake come next election time, if not earlier.
Okay. Okay. We saw a little clip. What's in common among all those things? Yeah.
All actors had choices that were circumstantial to their own personal incentives, but also that if people would interact with them, we were facing other models of sitting in different houses, fighting people, or other presidents fighting.
Yeah, sure.
Different options.
So like, essential to this class is exactly that kind of thing. We're going to look at how people make choices, but also how they're influenced by other people. Okay? Yeah.
There was an element of growth in all of them, like Naomi Campbell was talking about growing herself in meta sense. In Sims, the house kept growing. Urban planning, concept sketches, that's all a bit of growth. Safety growth from the crash dummies, and then military isolation.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. And no one has ever said that. That makes sense. That's interesting. That does make sense. Yeah.
I'm just gonna agree with that.
Uh-huh.
The top,
Right.
and how they keep going when you start in a direction.
Sure.
They all just involve models.
Uh-huh. What sense?
What's that?
In what sense?
I mean, the house, there's a model of the house,
Uh-huh.
a model of, I think the World Trade Center, and a model of some other architecture thing I didn't recognize.
Uh-huh.
And then anything was a model.
Uh-huh.
So, and then there was a crash test,
Right.
models of a crash, and then, yeah,
What about the George Bush thing, though?
I couldn't figure that out.
Okay. That's okay.
You couldn't predict how that was going to happen.
Uh-huh.
Those lead to different ramifications of, do we intimidate them with nuclear weapons?
Oh, I see.
Do we even bother to predict what we bomb the first attack?
Right. Sure. There's some over here. Over here. Oh. Okay, yeah, so let's go. What happened? There's Naomi Campbell, the wind tunnel, Sims, world change. Yeah, now it's like, actually, it's easy to forget. Now it's actually built. But these are the original designs in the computer, the World Trade Center. Okay. Crash test dummy, and the Bush, and the Azores. You guys probably don't remember this at all, right? This is before the Gulf War. Bush and Tony Blair and the Prime Minister of Portugal met in this tiny island called the Azores, and Bush made that statement about Saddam Hussein, and then there was a protest. So what's in common in all these things? Okay, kind of I agree with you. Okay, it's about models. Okay. Naomi Campbell is a model, like you're saying. Okay. Right. Wind tunnel, it's like a model of a plane, it's not a real plane. Sims is like a model society. World Trade Center is design. It's a model, and Precious Dummy is a model person. Now, how is the Bush and the Azores a model? This is what I was asking. Is that a model? Let's think about what he said. Do you remember what he said?
He's making choices.
Oh, yeah.
It's a model for action, like not like a physical model, but like a plan.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah.
As a model of their natural relations theory.
Yeah. Any other things? Okay, I think it's a model because listen to what he said when he said something like, in the end, it's Saddam's choice. Remember what he said that he can either back down or not? So it's up to him whether there's a war or not. Don't you see what I'm saying? Now, is that a model? Well, if there's an actual war that goes on, is it going to be more complicated than that?
Yeah.
Much more complicated, right? Involves lots of ships and millions of people and just crazy stuff going on. But Bush's explanation is a model, and it's a simplification. He's saying that in the end, it's Saddam's choice. That's the way I'm thinking about it. You see what I'm saying? So it is a simplification of what is actually a complicated thing. How about the demonstrators? Did you hear what they said? Or the guy with the, who would use bombs on? Well, what's going on there? Is that a model?
Jesus is the model for how we should live.
Kind of, yeah. It's like an analogy, right, or something, right? Or he said something like, if Bush goes ahead with this war, there'll be electoral implications. He'll basically put him out. Remember, that's what he said. So it's actually quite similar to the Saddam Hussein thing, right? It's the same. If he does X, we're going to do Y. Okay? Again, it's much more complicated than that. The election's very complicated. But the protesters are saying, in the end, if Bush goes ahead with the war, we're going to beat him out. We're going to kick him out. Therefore, this is a simplified way of thinking about the situation. In that sense, it's not a war. So yes, this class is all about models. Now, what are models good for? Okay, so if you're Naomi Campbell, why are you a model? What is the point of being a model if you're Naomi Campbell? Yeah, to sell clothes, right? You're there to show something, right? So one of the reasons you have models is just to display something. I can put up a model and say, this is how I think about the world. How about the airplane thing? Why is that with a model, not a real plane? Yeah.
To test,
Yeah, exactly. It's
you don't want to have it risking life.
Exactly, right. It's kind of like a low risk kind of thing. Exactly. It's easy to test and design something with a model. It's much easier to do it with a model than with a huge plane, right? What about the Sims? What's the point of that? Yeah. It's just like pure entertainment value, right? It's like, what happens if I put 10 people who hate each other in the same room? What happens? So models have that feature too. They just kind of like, let's see what happens. Let's see what crazy stuff can happen. Okay. How about the World Trade Center renderings? What's the point of doing that? Huh?
To plan.
Yeah, to plan. But why do you do it in the computer as opposed to just building it straight out?
Because if you mess it up, it's
Yeah, exactly. It's less risk. It's just cheaper. Yeah. Models are just a heck of a lot cheaper than doing things in real life. Okay, so if I want to think about war, it's much easier to model it than to actually say, oh, let's create a war and see what happens. Yes? Okay. How about the crash test dummy? What's the point of that? Safety, yeah, but again, why do I use a dummy as opposed to a real person in there?
To prevent accidents?
Yeah, yeah. Huh? Yeah, exactly, right. It's just cheap, it's just kind of like a low cost thing, right, exactly. And I want to say another reason why do you put a test, so you might say, why doesn't this dummy have hair, and a name? Because every humans have names, so why don't we give that person a name? It's not right because the person doesn't have a name. The person doesn't have hair.
Well, you model relevant details.
Exactly, right. My response is, well, part of the reason we make a model is to say that sometimes those details don't matter. Okay? We don't have to put hair in the crash test dummy because we figured out that it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, in a car accident. Actually, maybe there's a situation where it does matter. Maybe the person here might get caught in the steering column or something, but for the purposes of this, part of the point of models is to simplify. Another reason I kind of put this in is it makes it easier. It's kind of, if you look at this, it's kind of funny. But actually, accidents are very serious situations. But a model allows you to talk about a difficult situation in a more easy way. Makes sense? All right. how about the Bush leaves, or why does he say it's up to Saddam's decision, even though, of course, that's not literally true. Of course, other people have to make decisions to make a war happen. Why does he say that? Yeah, it's kind of a...
Validate?
Yeah, it's just kind of like an argument, right? He's just saying to the world, well, that's up to Saddam Hussein. It's not up to me. Yeah? So one of the reasons you have a model is to persuade somebody. You can say, well, you should give me half of the blueberry pie because I really, my model of the world is that I think we should split this happen. It's a way of persuading. Okay? And similarly with this protester thing, you can make analogies. A model is kind of like an analogy. It's like saying, a war is like this, or like social movement is like this. In some sense, this course is all about how to create those analogies and create those kind of reduced form representations of social phenomena. Any questions about that? So this course is not really too much about reality per se. It's more about how to model reality. Okay? How to simplify things in a way which has all these advantages. We want to show things, we want to test and design things, we want to entertain, etc. It's a lower cost way of thinking about things. Okay. All right. A model is a purposely simplified description. Okay. It is not reality. And it doesn't try to capture all detail. So very often when I do game theory models, I'll say, this is my model. People say, actually, it's really unrealistic. There's a lot of things you're missing. And I'll say, yeah, that's kind of the point of it, is I want to get rid of some stuff because I want to try to simplify it. I want to put a real person in the car. I want to make a crash test on it. I want to say, this is my computer model as opposed to the real one. It doesn't try to capture all detail. Okay, so simple as possible, but not too simple. Okay, so what is this?
It's a football plan.
It's a football play. But where is the football? Where are the players?
The O's and X's.
But that's not a person.
Represents a person.
Yes, okay, it represents a person. Okay, so you look and say, that's a football play, but of course it's not literally a football play, right? Okay, but it's a representation of it. Okay, why do I represent it in this way? Why don't I, instead of like getting 13 people or 11 people?
It's too difficult.
Because it's simpler.
Yeah, it's simpler, right, exactly, it's easier, yeah? I can put like 100 of them in a notebook, Okay? The point of representation is to make things simple. Okay, so in social science we use models too. Okay. There are lots of kinds of models in social science. Game theory is one of the simplest. So if you take a psychology class, sociology class, you look at all different kinds of models. Here in political science, and the nice thing about game theory is it's only one of many ways of modeling, but it's super, super simple. So that's why it's so great. It's kind of easy to teach and easy to learn, I think. Okay. Again, this class is about how to model. It's not really about facts. Okay. It's about how to think of something and simplify it, and make a model out of it and represent it that way. It's kind of like how to take a football play and reduce it down to that little diagram. Okay. So this is another example. So we shouldn't get a model in the real world confused. Okay. So again, when we're studying models, you might say this is not realistic, but I'll say, yeah, but it's supposed to be simple. Okay, a model and the real world are different things. Okay, so let me give you an example of this. How many people saw Zoolander 2? Did you see it? It's not that good. Don't see it. Zoolander 1 is great, though. Okay, here we go.
Yes, Derek. Look, what Maury said I was willing to do for you. Let's get back to the reason that we're really here. Without much further ado, I give you the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good.
What is this?
A center for ants! What?
How can we be expected to teach children to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building?
Derek, it's just a
I don't want to hear your excuses. The center has to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
He's absolutely right.
Thank you. I have a vision.
Okay, thank you. And so again, what's it? You shouldn't get the real world and the model confused. Yeah, they're different. Okay. Any questions about that? This class is about modeling. Okay. All right. So if you're a social scientist, your main question is why people do what they do. So if you're a social scientist, you wake up and you think, well, people around me are doing really strange things. Why are they doing that? Why are they voting for this person? Why are they showing up for this protest? Why are they fighting this war? Why do people do what they do? That's like the central question. Okay, so there are many, many ways of thinking about this. Okay. If you're a game theorist, the way we're going to focus on is choice. That is, we're going to focus on how people choose to do what they want to do. That's our main way we'll explain human behavior. There are other ways to explain it, but I think choice is a big part of it. So game theory emphasizes choice. Okay, kind of like we said before. We're going to say people do things because they choose to do something. So for example, like why are we all here in this room? It's possible some of you came here out of habit just because you took a class here last year or something. It's possible that, it's possible that you kind of just woke up and, sleeping or something. And, there are people who drive in their sleep sometimes. You just showed up here. But it's most likely you came here because you chose to come here, yes? Okay? You actually chose to walk inside this room. Okay. This is not always true. Like if you're in a packed elevator and you're in an elevator and somebody kind of moves back and you kind of go like this, you don't choose to go back. There are reflex behaviors which can happen. On infectious diseases, I don't choose whether to get like the flu this year. I might be just sitting next to somebody who has the flu. Okay. There are many situations where you don't choose. However, it is true in a lot of situations, and that's what we're going to focus on. Okay. How do we model a person's choice? Okay. So this is the first thing. So we're going to try to simplify choices. So choices can be complicated, but we're going to try to simplify them. Okay? We're going to try to make a model of a person's choice. Okay, so this is a fun. This is a little girl. She's licking this marshmallow. This is a choice. She's given the choice of whether to eat the marshmallow. Have you heard of this thing? Yeah. So there's this famous psychology thing where they give kids a marshmallow and say, if you don't eat this marshmallow, I'll come back in 5 minutes and give you another marshmallow. And they track those people through life. So people who are able to not eat the marshmallow get better grades, get higher salaries throughout their lives, irregardless of their grades, by the way. So this is kind of like a personality thing, supposedly. Your ability to kind of, withhold immediate consumption. And it's supposed to be like good for you throughout your life. I love that picture. Just thinking hard. Okay, how would I model choice? If I'm trying to simplify choice, how would I do that? What would be the simplest way of thinking about that? Yeah. Eat or not eat, exactly. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say you're not
Yeah, exactly. That little girl. What are her choices? So you have to write down. What are things you have to write down?
options.
There are options. Yes, you have to write down their options. Earlier than that, though, you have to do something. You have to actually specify the person, right? So you're specifying that little girl and her options. Okay, is that it? Huh? Yeah, you've also got to put the motivations in there too, right?
And consequences.
Yeah. So the motivations and consequences. So how would I represent those things? In a simple way. Yeah.
No marshmallow or another marshmallow?
Yeah. Okay. So those are like the consequences, right? But how would I? The motivations. What are you? So for example, yeah. Go ahead.
Hungry, yes or no? Because if she's hungry right then and there, or does she want to eat it now, or can she wait a little bit more?
Oh, I see.
Get more later on, what the motivation for eating or waiting?
Right. Like the circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If she eats the marshmallow, she gets 1 point. If she doesn't eat the marshmallow, she gets 2.
Yeah. There's still something though. Okay, so it's like the consequences. But there's still something I think we're not quite fully said.
You can assign value to the outcomes.
Yeah, something like to understand her choice, we have to understand what she wants to do. Yes. So in other words, how she thinks about the consequences are, right? So some kids might want that 1 marshmallow now. Some might be willing to wait 2 later.
Like short term versus long term.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is say that the simplest way of thinking about all those things is to do the following. Okay, so we're going to have one person, then we're going to specify what?
Their choice.
They're choices, right? So she chooses among a set of alternatives, okay? And then the third thing is going to be, somebody said it, which is what?
Value.
Kind of their value, like how much they care about it, how much they want it, right? Okay, so well, we're going to represent that with a number, or so-called payoff relation. So each alternative will have a number attached to it, which is how much they want it, how much they like it. Okay? All right. So, maybe I should put it up there. If I have these things, so the girl has, say she wants them, by eating a marshmallow she gets 10, but not eating a marshmallow she gets like, and getting 2 marshmallows later she'll get like 12. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a payoff of 12. If she, not eating gets, sorry, eating it now gets 10, not eating and getting the marshmallows later is 12, which one should we choose? 12, right? She'll choose the one which is the highest number. Okay, yes?
That's supposing that she has the self-control
Right.
and has the understanding
Yeah,
and
yeah,
ability
yeah.
to realize that if she waits, she'll get something.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And we know that not all the children
That's
do
true.
that.
Well, not all adults have it too, but so again, so yeah, it does represent certain assumptions about how people work. You know, again, there are a lot of situations where I think I would go back and think, I wish I made another choice as sort of a self-control thing, whatever. But we're going to assume people can make those choices pretty. So there's one person, they choose among a set of alternatives. Each alternative has a number attached to it, and we're going to predict that she chooses the alternative with the highest payoff. And if there's two with equal high payoffs, you just like a tie, she'll choose one.
So, say the model fails to predict with any sort of good fit actual behavior. Is that when we go back and say, oh, we should revise the values that we've attached, or what? How do we?
Yeah, absolutely. So if the model doesn't work, there's a few things you can do. One is to say, this whole thing doesn't make sense. We're going to just try a totally different kind of model. We could say that the behavior is not explainable. Or the third thing is the least modification. We can say the model itself works, but we just didn't get the details right. So all those things are possible. Yeah.
Wouldn't the utility eventually decline in a lot of situations?
Yes, yes,
I
so-
mean, if you eventually said something along the lines of like, hey, I'll give you 10 marshmallows now,
Right.
or 100,000 marshmallows when you're 105.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Oh, sure.
there's a utility.
There's a whole theory about that. So we're not going to do that right now. We're going to do the simplest possible. Just simply marshmallow, you see what I'm saying? Okay. So everything you say, all these things can be done, but we're just going to start with the simplest step. Okay. And for example, there's no time. There's no issue about time. Okay. So example, super simple example. I choose among apple, blueberry, and cherry pie. First step is I locate the person, which is me. What's the second step? Alternatives, which are what? Apple, blueberry, and cherry. And I put numbers on them. This means apple has payoff 5. Blueberry has payoff 8. Cherry has payoff 2. What does this model predict? I will choose blueberry because 8 is bigger than 5 and 2. Blueberry has the highest payoff, therefore I choose blueberry. Blueberry. Okay, how about another example? Does that make sense to you? Super simple, yeah? I can choose whether to revolt against the regime or stay at home. Okay. So what are my choices? Well, revolt or stay at home. And these are my payoffs. So if I revolt, see that's good, but this is like a cost. See? Like this is my cost if I get arrested or something. If I stay at home, I get 0.
So it's risk.
Well, yeah, there's risk is, yeah. This is a, you can think of it as risk, or you can think of it just as a cost of, like, having to take the bus over there or something. I just want to stay at home and watch TV.
For the fixed numerical value, is there a science behind it, or is it just more just a hierarchy of value?
There can be a science behind it. Oh, we will not learn that in this class. There is a way of estimating these things, like by going to data and seeing it. Okay, but most of the stuff in this class will somebody put up stuff and say, this makes sense to me, and I think it's just reasonable. It's a good question. Yeah.
I would say that the revolt has a higher payoff just because there's a chance of any type of payoff, whereas stay at home you're getting 0.
Yeah, okay. Right, yeah.
Except for when cost is minus 100 because you just got executed.
Yeah, exactly. So look at this. What would you choose in this situation? Well, what?
Stay
I'd
at home.
Stay at home? Well, obviously what?
You're trying to minimize the maximum damage, so based on situation,
Uh-huh.
and I guess the seriousness of the revolt, it would go by the accuracy.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay, just get a just use it. Don't make it super simple. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, isn't this impossible to predict?
these things are true. So, all these things are true. Super simple. Remember the models, like go back to the apple, the blueberry, cherry thing, right? Why is we choose blueberry? Because 8's bigger than 5 or 2. It's simple, yeah? Okay. Let's do this thing in exactly the same way. I choose the thing that has the highest number. Why can't I make that decision now? It depends on C is, right? That makes sense too, right? Obviously, if it's super costly to revolt, if I'm going to get shot, I'm not going to go out there, right? However, if it's like, it's really, really easy to walk over there, it's like right next to my house, I'm not going to get shot, so I stay, C might be low, right? Same thing? So it depends on C. Does that make sense? Yes, go ahead.
But what if staying at home leaves the concentration of the gradient, so what if it's like a negative?
Oh. Okay, yeah, so if you're 0, this means you're saying this shouldn't be 0, maybe it should be like minus 20 or something. Yeah, okay, all right. That's exactly the kind of thing in the details, yes?
Then if you stay at home, you're doing something else, and that could be 2 or 3 rather
Right,
than.
okay, fine, it's fine too. So you might be, exactly, you might stay at home and then like do activism or something, but okay, these are all details. So your model might be different than mine, yes? Right. Yeah, exactly, right. Exactly, so it's kind of like we were talking about. So the way you think of the situation, you might have a different model than me, right? And this model for your mother might be different than the model for you, is that right? So at any given time you write down a model, it can be wrong, or it can be, you might have to modify it in a certain way. But for now, we're just going to sort of super simplify and say, this is the way I think it is safe for me today. Okay, what's the conclusion, then we'll fit. What's the conclusion here? If C is 2, am I going to revolt? Yes. If C is 100, am I going to revolt? No, so it's exactly that. Okay? C is lower, revolt. C is higher. Oh, okay, C is equal to 5, then we have the time in the first place. Yeah? And then either thing would be expensive. Okay. Any questions about the class? Anything else? Okay. So I'll put my office on the website, I'll fix the website links. Okay? Alright, okay, we'll see you then Tuesday.
I also need the grade distribution, the 2015 grade distribution.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if you have a setting where you can view it like an outside, like an outsider.
She goes to bed at 11. So I know, but
Yeah, the best one is, well, there's some very good ones. The best one is probably the one that takes it in the other. Yeah, it's 19.
Well, they asked me to song. Yeah. Us. Oh, yeah. Show me like the same song. Show me like somewhere you just like. Yeah. Yeah, you're not missing out. I don't agree. It's really scary. Your hair and how's Liam? Yeah, still. Yes, still a degenerate? Oh, getting worse? Yeah.
the best way is to just sign up with the normal procedure. But if you can't, if that doesn't work, just let me know. Oh, I see. Oh, no, you can, that's not problem.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, or you can just come here Tuesday. Oh, I see. Well, then, yeah, I'll look around. Yeah. Tomorrow I should be there.
Yeah, tomorrow would be better, just have to take one classes.
So, if I'm up there, you can just form me, just leave it there while you're already, and I can fill it out. But I should be there. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the grading will be all the same. So, I mean, there'll be, obviously, there'll be questions, things about.
Oh, wait, you're I think there's spots a lot of it. I mean, over
You won't be going to see it. I would just say, you should push it, like your TA situation. But you'll find that, like, tons of times, so, yeah, just, I would just start this way. Go to the discussion section. So we
Yo. How's your class? I think I might draw it. What is it?
No, that's cheaper. It's cheaper.